All right, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to today's session. We'll be talking about the Analyst Hub and how to import data into Stratum from Excel. So that's today's topic. My name's Adam Kurtz, and I'm with Silva Software. And today, like I said, data import. So that's a big part of the Stratum Analyst Hub. And we'll be talking about how to import data from Excel. You might have some budgets or forecasts that you keep in Excel. We'll talk about how you can get that into Stratum so that the user or the analyst can actually do that themselves. In addition to that would be some another process where you can actually import attributes into Stratum. So for instance, you might have an attribute for a given product that you want to import from an Excel spreadsheet. And you can also make that a virtual dimension as well. So you can aggregate on that attribute as if it were a dimension. So those are today's topics. We'll go through a demo and take some questions. So the Stratum Hub, today we'll be concentrating on the Analyst Hub, which is down here. Part of the process, the Analyst Hub incorporates getting data into Stratum. So notice that we've got a spreadsheet data import in addition to master data augmentation and other features that are available for the Analyst Hub. As you can see, data copy, multi-level planning, those are all parts of the Analyst Hub. So today we'll be focusing more on the import of data using Excel. And so as you can see, there's many different ways of getting data into Stratum. Um, Obviously, you've got the traditional methods of using ETL and getting data from your ERP tables. And then as you can see how the Excel data import process can complement that, in addition to other sources that are becoming more prevalent now these days via the cloud. So as you can see, the landscape of getting data into Stratum can be quite complex. And so as you can see, letting some of the users take over some of that might be a welcomed proposition. So with Stratum, you're able to do that using the data import access. You'll need a Stratum license for the Analyst Hub in order to take advantage of this. If you're on a named user license with Stratum, you have full access to everything. And then if not, you can contact me. We can talk about your licensing and whether you're licensed for it. And if not, we can talk about getting you licensed for it. You do need to be on SQL Server for everything. So if you're hosting Stratum on an iSeries, this won't work. So just keep in mind this is strictly for SQL Server Stratum environments. And you'll need version 7.1 or greater to actually take advantage of this. So who can access the data import feature? Well, basically security and view administrators have full permission, and you can open it up to advanced and casual users. Probably don't want to open it up to casual users. But as you can see, the advanced user can access the data import features, but the administrators would need to give them direct access to that window, that menu. So there's some things that you'll need to do to make it available to them. So I would say only have your view administrators or deem those users view administrators that can actually do these data imports. So some setup needs to take place. You'll need to set up a category. You'll need to change it to, you might already have categories set up within Stratum, but the category will need to be set up so that it's a user-based category as opposed to a corporate-based category. And this tells Stratum that this data will be coming in via Excel from a user. So as you can see, there's some administrative setup that you'll need to do to make sure that this particular category is set up for user data import. So it's basically a way, what is data import? Like I said, this is a way for you to import data into Stratum. You might have a plan or a budget, and you want to incorporate that into Stratum for comparative purposes, for analytics. So basically user curated data that's within Excel, and you can import that data, obviously using the Stratum Data Hub, using that data import feature. So typically we'll see budgets and plans. Point of sale data would be another interesting thing. Demographic data, maybe some attribute data, et cetera. So you have different ways or different types of data you might import into Stratum. But normally what I see being used here are budgets and plans and forecasts. And what's nice about this is that once that process is done and the importer has finished processing, you can actually immediately see the imported data in Stratum. And so you'll actually get an email telling you the data is ready for you to go in and check it out. So this is something that runs actually very quickly. Again, depending on how much data you're importing, of course. But and again, this is something that you'll have available to you typically within minutes. So this should empower some of your users out there to give them the ability to do some of this, take some of this stuff off of IT plates, and allow the users to actually incorporate some of the data that they have um, that they're storing within Excel. Um, so basically, this feature is launched off from the left panel of Stratum Viewer, or there's a new hamburger menu on version 7.3 or greater. So I'll show you in the demo how you can actually get access to the data import menu. And once you start importing the data, you'll go through a mapping exercise and telling basically Stratum what the data represents. Here's an example of what an Excel format might look like in a horizontal fashion. So Stratum takes two different types of data formats, as you can see, horizontal, with time periods going across the horizon. So that's one way to get data imported into Stratum. Another way would be transactional time periods, where you've got a record and a time bucket or a transaction date for that record. And as you can see, it's more vertical as opposed to horizontal. So either one of those formats would work for the data import process. Here's how you get to it. As I said, pre 7.3, admin utilities data import, and then if you're on 7.3 or greater, it's the hamburger menu up there in the upper right hand corner, and you'll go into Analyst Tools data import. Once you're in the data import menu, it'll show you all the different data imports that you've done in the past. And then you'll click on the new button there to create a new data import and just import a new spreadsheet. It'll prompt you then to select your spreadsheet that you want to import from, and then you make your selection. It'll also ask you a question about how you want to do this. So, what do you want to add the data or replace it? What category do you want to put it into? And and then it'll need to know some things about the format. Is it a time series or a transaction-based file? How many header rows do you have in the file? And which out of those header rows, where is the actual time transaction date? And so you'll need to tell it where to find that. And then finally, what the transaction date format looks like. So once you answer those questions and click OK, it then imports the data into the menu for the mapping to occur. And then you can start doing the mapping as needed. This column is region, therefore that's a dimension. Typically, you're going to ignore the descriptions because we're not doing a master file data import. We're doing a data import. So the concept here is to import all the necessary dimension levels and their keys in addition to the actual sales plan data. Once you do the data import and you verify and process, as you can see, you'll get some prompts telling you that your data mapping is valid, and then you can go ahead and kick off your data import job. Once it's finished processing, you'll get an email telling you that your data import has completed, and then you can go back into Viewer and enjoy the benefits of the data that you just imported. Here we can see that I can import the data um, and look at the data immediately. Switching gears a little bit here on the master data import side of things. So now we have a concept where we want to import an attribute as opposed to sales plan data or budgetary data. Now we're talking about maybe a code for a given product, maybe some prices, weight, anything really that describes product or a customer. It doesn't matter what level you want to do it at, as long as you have the appropriate permissions, then you can actually do import the data and import attribute data. So again, some of the new same licensing issues occur here. So if you're not licensed for the Analyst Hub, then that's something that just contact me and we can talk more about that. And yes, again, you have to be on SQL Server and on 7.1 or greater for this. So basically the same requirements. Same requirements as far as the data import access. You still have security and view admins that would have full permission. This is basically from our help text. It's basically a way for you to go in and see what's involved with the data import. As I said, you can add attributes to complement the corporate data that you're bringing in, products, customers. You can do it anytime, as long as you can get into the interface, of course. You can define new data summarizations because these attributes can be turned into virtual dimensions. So, this, and then if you have any new, like for instance, if you're budgeting new products or customers, this would be a great way to get those those attributes, those descriptions in that may not be in your ERP. The format's going to look a little different because we're actually importing data now for a given dimension, in this case, product. And as you can see, I've got a product marking group code that I want to use. Maybe I'm a marketer and I'm tagging each of these items for a promotion. So I have a couple codes that I'm setting up here for each item. Some of these items are running under the same promotion. Other items have different codes. And that's my example. I want to now import this into Stratum so I can actually see these group codes, do some analysis on those promotional codes to see if I have any sales left from these promotions. Same concept here. You're going to go in and you're going to import the data into a data mapping menu. You're going to tell it which, obviously which fields to use for your attribute. And then your attribute then becomes available for analysis. So we can see here that we're importing for each one of our UPCs. We can see that there's a marketing promotion that we're running for each one of them. And then once we import it, as you can see, you can actually aggregate now on that attribute as if it were a dimension. It behaves just like a dimension now. So that's something that's available with the master file data import. So we're going to take a look at that real quick in the demo. That's my name and my email, my phone number. If you need to contact me, feel free to reach out and ask me any questions regarding Stratum. Please don't hesitate. All right, now we're going to switch gears a little bit and go into the demo. We're going to see if we can import some of this data into Stratum, and we'll show you some of the steps that you'll go through to import the data into Stratum. If we take a look at some of the files that I want to use to import the data, we can see that I've got an Excel file here. And it's by region, sold to, product brand, product. I've got the descriptions in there that I'm going to end up ignoring. And then I've got my plan data that's going out. It's monthly. And it's, as you can see, a horizontal time series file. So that's the one I want to import. I'm going to go ahead and kick that off. And I'm going to go into my hamburger menu over here under Analyst Tools, and you'll see the data import menu there. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And as I said, you're going to see all the different import jobs that you've run in the past. And to kick off a new job, you can just simply click on the new button there, and then it will take you to the folder, or you'll need to browse to it. And here I'm going to go ahead and set up my sales plan file. As you can see, the file does need to be closed. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out now. And we'll go ahead and import that in. So now it's actually importing the file now that we have it closed. Here are those questions that I told you it was going to ask us. So basically, yes, I'm going to add it. instead of replace. I'm actually not going to run the live job here, but as you can see, you'll have these options available. For instance, maybe you imported a file a few hours ago and you had some problems. Maybe there's a few things that you want to correct. You can go ahead and just replace it, at that point. Just replace the file. Here, I'm going to put this into a sales plan category. And as you can see, all the categories are not showing up here because this is secured. So you don't want people importing data into unsecured, measures and such as sales, which would be pretty bad. Okay, what does the file look like? What does the data look like? And we know it's a time series file, so that's what I'm going to select here. And I know that I've got 3 header columns, and my time periods are actually found in that third header row. And I know that my time periods actually look like that. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So once you answer those questions and you're able to import the data into the mapping menu, here you can see that I've already imported this data before, so it knows how to map the file. Okay, the mappings are intelligent, so it actually remembers that this is a dimension for the region. It knows to ignore my description for region, and so on and so forth. It knows that this is sold to, that this is brand. Again, we're ignoring the descriptions. Product is there. And then these are all my plan amount measures. If I didn't want it to go into plan amount, I could switch it to units or cost. It depends on what you're importing. And then once you're ready to kick that off, you can go ahead and click on the submit the data import for processing. And it'll actually prompt you one more time before you want to continue. You'll get an email once that job runs. You'll actually get an email telling you that the data is ready. At that point, you can go into your a view, and you can actually see which views that what data that you actually imported in. I believe I have one down here called Sales Plan. Imported data, yeah. So this is actually what that data looks like. So here's my Excel file that I use for the sales plan example. So we'll reopen that up now that we've imported the data. I want to make sure that the numbers, are balanced. So that looks like 175 mil roughly. And sure enough, that's my total for the file. 175,079,256 and 175,079,256. So it's on the money. So that makes you feel good, right? And I'm able to drill down and see all the different sold tos that were in that file, right? And so on and so forth. I can drill in and see how that plan data that I just imported from Excel, now I can actually use it within Stratum. As a matter of fact, if I have a sales data out there as well, I can then go ahead and add that in for comparative purposes. And there's my sales data. And of course, now you can go ahead and add in a calculation and do, the necessary calculations against those two measures, whether it's a variance or a variance percent. This is something that you can now use to, you can use some of the features that are available, the functions. Am I achieving my plan? Fill in those gaps and see what that would look like as a percent. And show that image, format it as a percent here, and we can see the achievement percent. It's probably flip-flopped, so I should do that with Salesforce and then plan. Yeah, so that's 96% of my plan, 73% of my plan. See how easy that is? I can go ahead and save that as another view as needed. So that's importing, as you can see, plan data. Now we're going to use it to import master data. So here I've got master data import. So again, it's going to show you those jobs that you run in the past. Same concept here. I'm going to click on new. I'm going to go get my attribute import file. Of course, we knew that was going to happen. We have to close that file. Now we can import. Same concept here. I've done this file before. It knows that that's a product. It knows to ignore my description. I'm only using one of the product columns there for my marketing codes. And then I'm ignoring any other columns that I might have in that file. I kick that off. I get an email telling me it's ready. And I can then use that data here as well. So my plan, and what's cool about this is that, I've just imported this plan data, right? And then if I want to see the how the plan data looks for my marketing group code, then I can actually go in and make that my first column. We could see the marketing group codes. Some of the products were not in that file. This is actually a really good example. So so some of the products were only tagged in for the sales, were only in that sales plan file. And so some of the other items were not in that sales plan file as well. So you might have a question mark representing that other data. So these are basically the products that are not participating in that promo. If I wanted to see the products that are participating or not, we can go in. We can see that there really are only 2 items here that are not in that promo based on that. And then I can come back and see which products are in the 12380K promo. And I can drill in on the other marketing group code as well. Okay, so that becomes drillable. And as you can see, you can aggregate on it as if it were a dimension. It basically behaves just like a dimension. And again, that's from this attribute import file. Just want to take one other final look at that. And so basically here are the products that were in that file, and then there's my product, the marketing code that I'm using as well. So different types of files. You've got the transaction or the data import, and you can use either a time series or a transaction-based file for that. And then you've also got the attribute file as well, where you can import your attributes as needed for the different products.